So next up, we're going to be checking out The Endless War That Reshaped Humanity, the Forever Winter Lore by Everberon. Or Everberon? Everberon. I'm probably butchering the name. I know, me butchering a name. Never happens before. I'm not really sure what we're getting into here. I've been told this is a almost 40K setting where you're a normal person just walking around unaffiliated in a very politically charged world, but with internal politics. I don't know what the politics are. And I honestly don't really care because I'm going to be excited to find out more about this. So let's jump into it and see just how crazy this is. Also, I have been getting weird recommendations for Forever Winter lately on YouTube that I haven't clicked on. So apparently the algorithm thinks I'm going to enjoy this. It also seems to think I enjoy Is It Cake style shorts. So it can be wrong. The answer is if it's not cake, I'm disappointed and it just makes me hungry. How old is this series anyways?
As you crawl through the rubble, you look up toward an ashen sky.
Whoa. Reasonably new.
The meager contents of your heavy rig clatter against your back.
Oh. So it's not super high fidelity, but it's not overly blocky either. It's like that middle ground of intentionally pixelized. Okay, not bad.
As you lug yourself over concrete battlements, you can't see your footing beneath the strata
Oh,
of
those are
metal,
people.
stone, and flesh, but that doesn't deter your progress.
You can see the people speared by the same thing that they then put skulls on later.
As you push past an array of soldiers' helmets impaled on pikes, and in the distance, you can see the turret of a long-dead war engine.
That's a pile of tanks leading to a tank turret sticking out of the ground. Someone piled tanks. Okay. If you want to tell me over the top grim, this is definitely it.
Fashioned in much the same way. Shortly, you reach the top of the debris pile, upon which is seated a fortification, where a battalion of soldiers emerge. One of them sounds the alarm, and you watch as rifles are raised and the footmen take aim at a rapidly
zombies?
encroaching procession of creatures.
Those are
part
zombies.
Man and part machine. The cyborgs run like zombies.
Nope, they're Psy zombies. Yeah, oh god.
Into the hail of gunfire, and while many are downed, some reach their targets. You don't stick around to watch what happens next. After all, it's not your war. So instead, you turn left, sneak to the top of the embankment, and gaze down at the awe-inspiring sight beyond. Before you are miles upon miles of trenches built as much into the earth as they are carved among the residual scraps of a war that's been raging here for generations.
What the hell? It's like all control broke down and all you have is the residuals of this is what the faction used to be and you're just fighting. It almost feels like 40K where it's small.
The fighting at this place, which
that a
they
giant
call
mech?
the Elephant Mausoleum, never ceases. Many of the fighters have lived here for their entire lives, and yet
that's
new
all crosses
troops
and
seem to arrive
corpses.
and fall back every day. In the plains beyond, scattered pockets of opposed soldiers wander the desolated countryside, scurry fleetingly behind enemy lines, or prey to their larger-than-life mechanized compatriots, their guardians, who will lead them to either victory or death.
Wait, they're praying to giant mechs. And Kryn, you're basically saying, so this is Trench Crusade, the video game? Honestly, it feels like if Trench Crusade was set later than World War I, this would look very similar. At least so far it feels like that.
Undoubtedly grim, but you're used to it. After all, it's true what they say. War never changes, and you're just here to find a little water, pick up a little scrap, and reach the extraction point in hopes that you can live another bleak day.
Wait, is this an extraction shooter style set in this game? Oh, I was not expecting that.
This is the future posed in the Forever Winter, a cooperative PvE extraction horror looter shooter from Fundog Studios. The game is set in a...
Okay, this does look beautiful. And if it's extraction, that's also why you're an affiliate. You're just trying to survive all of the PvE elements. This actually looks kind of cool.
Dismal, futuristic hellscape where a world-encompassing war seems to rage across every corner of Earth's surface. The cities and splendors of the old world have fallen long ago, and humanity has utterly lost himself in the fighting. No one seems to be able to agree how the war started, and few seem to care, because by the year 20XX, those that started the war are all dead. Today, the aimless efforts are kept alive only by AI, godlike tactical intelligences that produce, conscript, and oversee humans and machines alike, producing
Oh, so it's literally just a person 3D printing the face. Oh, that is so fucked up.
legions upon legions of combatants, with the only real effort being to keep the fighting going. In such a future, though,
And it's an AI doing the entire way.
once mundane resources have become commodities, as even the fighting forces have taken to recycling mechanical and biological components alike, it's become harder than ever.
Oh, that's a person or a machine, like an actual walker type giant mech. I didn't realize what that was. I thought it was just scrap. But you can kind of see the outline of arms and a head. Ugh. Also, we're going to pull up your comment. 1, Iron, thank you, 2. So the war is now run by task AIs. All government ledgers got nuked day 1. So AIs are continuing the war even though it's now pointless. Because they're carrying out the directive they were given without wondering if it is or is not a good idea. Which also means there's no one who could stop it because the people who would be able to give them those commands are not doing it, and they can't because they don't exist anymore. So it's literally a pointless forever war unless you destroy the AI.
For everyday people to survive, and you are one of those people. In the Forever Winter, we play as a scavenger, or scav, occupying a small subterranean hideaway simply known as the Innards. Together, with up to 3 friends, your job is to make your way to the war-torn surface, and to bring back any supplies that you can carry, especially if it's water. But how did we get to this point? How did it work?
Oh yeah, there's the 40k setting elements I was told were kind of in here. It's not 40k, but it looks a lot like it. The biotech horror. Yeah. Oh god.
World like this one even develop? Who are the opposing forces at play, and where are things going next? These are all questions that you may find yourself asking while traversing the wastes. So allow me to take you on a journey through all of the lore that we know so far. This is the beautiful and terrible world of the Forever Winter.
Oh, so it's early access. So this is a very early stage of the game. Okay. Huh. And according to Yizek, it's fun with friends, but not even at full release yet. Oh, how old is this video? Okay, this is about a year old, and I'm being told, if Yizek mentioned it's still waiting for the full release. After a year, it's still in either early access or beta, not even full. Oh.
So, first things first, we have to set the stage and explore how it is that we got to this point to begin with.
Okay, I want to highlight one thing that is very prevalent here. This is very good graphics, but you could tell that they're going for a very distinct 90s style or early 2000s style of graphics without the heavy ray tracing elements, although they are there. The shadows show what look like very good fidelity with light. But then you look at some of the graininess in the textures, how everything is not completely sharp. There's some blur in here. There's a lot of intentionally reducing the quality of the image, which is very much an aesthetical choice that I don't actually know if it would make it easier or harder on a GPU, but if it makes it easier right now, that's good because no one's ever going to get one of those again. I do like this style though, because it gives everything that you're not getting the hard, sharpest, most crisp game. You're getting the guys who can't deal with this shit anymore and just do it because they have to. But without going full, well, Minecraft mode and reducing everything to blocks. Although with some of the mods I've seen in Minecraft, they can go full RTX on, man.
But to do that, we have to turn to a rather unorthodox source of information. Not the game itself, nor promotional or supplementary material, but rather another YouTuber.
What?
See, on September 17th, 2024, a whole week before the Forever Winter came out, fellow YouTuber Rilo produced a video in which he spoke extensively with Fundog Studios' development team, and learned a lot.
Oh, so it wasn't even official lore, it's the lore that the team is talking about for the game. Oh?
A lot of information, both about the story and the game's inspirations, that was really eye-opening. It's a great video, and if this topic or...
This is the one! This is the one I've actually seen. Well, not seen, but it's been recommended to me by YouTube quite a bit lately. It's come up multiple times. Ah, shit, they know me. That's... honestly, it's Google at this point. They know everything.
this game is interesting to you, then I'm going to have it linked in the description because I think it's an essential watch at this point in the Forever Winter's life cycle. What Rilo covers most extensively is the war's beginning and how it all came to be. So to get things started, I'm going to reframe what it is that we know so far, and then we'll take it from there.
What is going on?
In the time before the...
Were those flying ticks? Like giant flying ticks. Okay. Also been told by Kryn, a lot of games are in beta still, like Valheim. Really? Oh. I thought Valheim was fully released at this point. Also, one sec. Sorry about that.
War, the world consisted of at least 3 global superpowers: Europa, Eurasia, and Urusa. Europa was the largest of these powers by landmass, controlling most of North and South America, as well as...
Actually, I'm going back a second on this one.
3 global superpowers: Europa, Eurasia, and Urusa.
I want to say that the weirdest part about this is no one claimed Australia. And then I remembered, wait, no, Australia. The kangaroos took it, man. And then the emus made sure to hold it. Not a canon map. Territories are estimated. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. And the remains of Russia, ignoring everything to the Asian section of it, and going heavy into Africa. America just taking over everything, but calling it Europa because it's all stemming off of Europe, but it's the rest of everything. And Eurasia not actually being Eurasia because the Eur part is not connected. Yeah. I think this is actually ridiculous enough that I kind of love it. Also, it's just EU for everything. It's all Europe everywhere. Everything is Europe except Australia. Oh my God.
Europa was the largest of these powers by landmass, controlling most of North and South America, as well as a good portion of Eastern Europe. In spite of their size, though, we're told that in the distant past, the once great Europa would concede large parts of its robust population to famine, disease, and increased levels of pollution. Food.
Can you imagine if parts of Europe, America, and South America would have famine and pollution? I mean, that is so horribly odd. We would never do that. I mean, can you imagine if you were like living in Los Angeles and you couldn't see the sky for days at a time and realize, oh, it's sun time. Not is the sun out, it's the sun is finally able to break through the smog. That'd be funny if that hadn't happened multiple times within the last couple decades.
Food and clean drinking water became more scarce, and as the world changed, Europa struggled to change with it, which would oppose them both diegetically and culturally with Eurasia, a wealthy and technologically advanced power that occupied much of the opposite side of the globe, their territory spanning from Eastern to Central Asia. Eurasian society, we're told, was positively defined by advancements in technology, especially in the biosector, having generated new means of cultivation and advanced cybernetic implants for human use. What Eurasia had in technology, though, they lacked in space. Eurasian cities became overcrowded and left with nowhere to expand. Thus, both superpowers found themselves stuck in a sort of deadlock. Both Europa and Eurasia were in desperate need of what the other had, and so tensions would rapidly rise around the globe. But sandwiched between both of them was our third and final player. Not much is known about Urusa prior to the conflict, except that having dominion over the majority of...
Wait. Okay, one, that is a really fucked up thing, but it almost looks like it's based on Ottomans, maybe? I know I recognize the space symbol for the flag, but they've added so many things onto it. I could be completely wrong. Also, I'm being told right now, Iron, thank you, 2. Eurasia isn't actually a government. They're a mega corp that eventually took over with their biotech and upgrades. Lovely. So we basically have Elon Musk running Eurasia. That's probably fine. And if you believe that.
Africa, the Middle East, and parts of Russia, they would have been placed in a very uncomfortable position. If Europa and Eurasia were to go...
Can you imagine if Africa and the Middle East were placed in an uncomfortable position between the European powers, the American powers, and the Asian powers? Can you imagine that? That would be so last century. The century before that. The century after that. Oh, wow. It's like, oh, first time?
A war over Europe, they would see the fallout directly. So it was perhaps in a bid to avoid being attacked on both sides that Urusa would go on to ally with Eurasia, though the specifics of how and precisely at what point the alliance was formed are not known today. Regardless, tensions would inevitably boil over, and it's not clear who struck first in the end. Bombardments fell across the globe, major cities were wiped from the map, and most critically of all, those in charge, generals, politicians, and leaders, were killed. With their handlers out of the picture, the autonomous systems tasked with printing war machines and conscripting soldiers would continue to operate unchecked.
Oh, they're actually printing war machines. I thought it was just like art for a battle, but no, that's even creepier. So it's literally just 3D printing the machines to take out other machines and the people that come along with them.
As the forces on each side continue,
those are shoes and feet tied to the bottom of the machine. Okay.
continued to grow, so did the scope of the fighting.
The art
It's
is beautiful.
said that today, pockets of civilization still exist in the hearts of the major territories, though not undisrupted. Martial law
Okay, that is absolutely disturbing. Like, just the blood bags hanging from the ceiling, not connected to anything, just there for the next person who needs it. I mean, utterly wasteful and completely ridiculous. But as far as creepy images go with all the corpses underneath it and they're all covered over, yeah, really fucked up, man. Ugh.
Martial law hangs heavily over the heads of civilians. Military enlistment is commonplace on both sides as well, with Europans being afforded certain freedoms on the front lines that they aren't otherwise, and in Eurasia,
Aren't they all kind of? Oh, it's Europa or Eurasia and Urusa, but they're all just yours.
the citizens are compelled to service in a different way. The lowest
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine? It's like, congratulations, you've been chosen to serve, or congratulations, you've been chosen to serve. The freedom is you can die eventually, someday, maybe, probably not.
ranks of Eurasia are almost unwaveringly comprised of the power's poorest citizens, who've been turned by force into biomechanical weapons. Their minds still intact, the bodies of these soldiers are controlled contrary to their will, compelling them to combat in whatever way best serves the unknowable artificial sentience.
Why convert people then if you have all the machines to replace everything about them and you don't actually use the mind? Oh, because it's grimdark. And the things making the decisions aren't actually thinking it through because they're just AIs carrying out orders, and everyone who can say, hey, this is stupid is dead. Which actually does lampshade it pretty well. Why are you doing the stupid thing? Because the person who gave the order didn't get to correct themselves. Yeah, that makes sense actually, and I hate that it makes sense.
Behind the Eurasian campaign, Urusa has also taken to many aspects of their allies'
The blue-headed baby on a freaking hawk. Well, and it has all the dog tags. And is that dice? Yeah. That is beautiful and creepy in equal measure. And those are bullet shells. Like, no, not even bullet shells. It's like tech going into it from the background. It's plugged into that everywhere. But also, it looks like heavy rounds behind it.
culture and aesthetics, though with elements of occult religious esotericism mixed in.
Does it
While the
work?
Eurasian army is more uniform, Euruscan troops are easily some of the battlefield's most experimental units, using biomechanics to their advantage to create demented man and machine hybrids, working and reworking the relationship.
Oh, that's a person by its foot. Like, you could look down there and go, just see, that's the person. That is giant. So the ones we saw before were these things. Okay. That is pretty damn big gun then. I was like, oh, that's like a human-sized gun. It's like a little... No, that's a tank gun with a person in the meat suit mech thing probably holding it. Also, iron. In lore, LA gets rebuilt by AI printers every day. See, that's just unrealistic. Who would actually build AI or LA back?
Between living beings and automata. Members of each of these factions can be found in and around the war-torn territory that was once the American West Coast, in the remnants
Where does this
of the
actually take
proud
place?
city of Los Angeles,
What?
likely a morphological derivative of the even older Los Angeles.
Oh. Also, it's funny because Los Angeles, I think, just means the angels. I don't speak Spanish. But it's kind of funny. Los Angeles actually fits better here. Those are bodies hanging from street signs. I just realized that.
This is where the Forever Winter takes place.
This is
And
literally
so next,
LA.
we're going to turn away from how this war was instigated and instead look to how it stands. In the next section, we're going to get a comprehensive view of the units.
Oh, those aren't people. Those are the tank killers because there's a tank at their feet. God damn, those things are bigger than I think every time.
And themes that represent each of the three armies, as well as exploring the ways in which they intersect with us as scavs, and where better to start than with Europa.
Okay, this is going to sound weird, but every time I hear scav, I keep going to cyberpunk, which fits very well in this and somehow makes Nights... I was going to say this makes Night City look safer. It's like, that's crazy, I should never say that. Then I realized, oh shit, Night City actually might be a step up for this. You know a setting's bad when dropping Atom Smasher into it is a net positive. Huh.
Mentioned previously, Europa has undeniably stuck to a highly specific, highly recognizable style of what would, by the year 20XX, largely be considered legacy militarism. Their troops, ranging from foot soldiers all the way to their largest units, are traditionally recognizable and utilize weaponry that would be employed today. This style owes at least in some part to Europa being decidedly behind the technological curve.
Although there is something to be said for it still works. If you hit enough shots, it still dies. Because when in doubt, throwing a rock at it is still a valid strategy.
When compared to Eurasia and Urusa, not benefiting from the many advancements of Eurasia prior to the war, and instead continuing to produce what they already know, and draw from vast stockpiles of military supplies dating back to the 21st century.
Damn.
Though the sheer amount of resources they've accrued in that time also make them the single most diverse army in terms of unit variety.
So they have no resource issues then, because they have the drawing of a large pool. So in other words, not the best tech, but they keep using it, and it works. Oh.
As a result of these constraints and the culture of the European people, humans still play a massive part in their war effort.
I'm going to be completely honest. This doesn't actually seem that odd. If anything, this looks like something out of Battletech. If anything, he's wearing too much clothes for that setting. Or not enough. It could go either way, and there's no middle ground.
European soldiers are traditionally clad in somewhat standard military wear, including pants, shirts, and tactical gloves colored in some
What are the other
variation
factions
of
wearing them?
gray,
Like one's
brown, and
cyberpunk
dark green.
horror,
Most
but...
units are equipped with chest rigs of varying robustness and heft based on their position, which, along with their helmets, can be used as a descriptor of rank.
Bucket helmet.
At the bottom of the totem pole is the general European soldier, the most basic in terms of both rank and utility. They're usually found donning a dome-like helmet equipped with a headset and wielding the standard SCAR or M16. Most of the time, these footmen can be found in the presence of other, larger or more powerful units, both man or machine, and on occasion they may be encountered without a helmet or armor at all. Wounded soldiers often remove their backpacks and headgear, but are nevertheless prepared to take up arms at a moment's notice.
Oh, because it probably breaks if they, well, breaks. They take it off. That makes a lot more sense in hindsight.
Similar to the soldiers are spotters, another infantry unit that looks nearly identical, but who are equipped not with rifles, but instead with the Chris Vector 45 submachine gun. These footmen are generally deployed alongside snipers, who wield powerful NTW-20 long-range rifles, which can also be observed rarely on general soldiers.
Can you take
one
the
of
weapons
the
from them?
specialty units that can usually be found backed by a number of soldiers, or in a group comprised of their own kind, are the Grin, who are the first European infantry force distinguishable by their clothing as well as their weapon. The Grin come stocked with all of the usual wear, but...
Oh, they have a grin on the bucket helmet. And the eye looks weird. Like, is that just me, or...
with their rounded helmets replaced for heavier, flat-topped ones, and wielding powerful automatic shotguns, making them something of a threat at close range, though being only lightly armored, they're...
Just going to point out here, this is the thing that every game does with shotguns, thinking it's going to be really horrible for you right up front. Thing is, shotguns are not meant to be used that way. They're, medium, but not short-range weapons. Any gun fired to short range right into someone's chest will do gun damage because it's a gun. But shotguns are not close-up things. They're supposed to be like shooting at a distance. The pellet spread isn't that big. If it has one, it's not... What everyone seems to do is make it a sawed-off shotgun, which just goes everywhere. It's like, okay, I want this general area to have all the pellets. But they're not actually showing sawed-off shotguns, and a lot of the time they do this. So it's just one of those, okay, so we're going to do it is everything goes straight here, and as soon as they're out of the barrel, they're going to suddenly change direction to go in every direction, so everything in front of you dies, but not what it actually does. It's stupid, but I kind of love it because I'm so used to it. It's almost nostalgic to see guns being represented this way. I know people who are very into guns, though, who see this, and they have absolute conniptions. I just find this funny, though. Also, Iron, I'm going to pull up your comment. Oh, also, I think that is meeting the goal. We now need to choose a video after this. Europe is your fave because they're the conventional military, and that highlights how insane their enemies are. Regular soldiers versus biomech abominations. Yeah.
They're similarly easy to dispatch. It's with the elite soldier that the true might of Europa begins to shine through. Often assuming the role of officers, these units possess larger chest rigs and several additional pouches and utilities around their waist. They have more armor on their shoulders, wrists, and knees, and their helmets have a unique studded appearance that helps further separate them from the rest of the pack. And in terms of weapons, they're equipped with M4s or M60s. One step up from them is the EOD, Europa's heaviest, non-specialized infantry unit, characterized by their similarly bulky frame, full face covering, and multiple layers of armor around their neck, shoulders, wrists, hips, knees, and ankles. They also possess very bulky backpacks which appear armored in their own right, and tote modified MG-34 light machine guns equipped with bayonets, perhaps an homage to the implement's significance during the Revolutionary period in the United States.
I mean, also, their enemies were charging them, so having a immediate weapon that you could stab into someone when they get into stabbing range is probably useful. In fact, the fact that there's not bayonets on everything is kind of weird at this point.
Seeing as the city of Los Angeles is located on the American West Coast, Europa occupies a defensive position in most or all of the areas that we can access in-game, and this is also evident in the placement of M20 turrets at many of their checkpoints,
are they laser turrets?
Outposts, and encampments. These automated sentry guns rain fire down at high speed and are known to rip apart ground troops and drones alike with minimal difficulty. Speaking of drones, Europas can be identified due to their unique cylindrical body plan.
I love how they basically made the actual drone setup, and then just put like what looks like a gas canister underneath it with a light. This is so ridiculous, and I kind of love it. Oh, man.
Plan that minimizes their profile from directly below or above. Like all battle drones, their main use is in aerial combat, armed with machine guns used against ground troops and in drone-to-drone combat. But they may also be used for reconnaissance. The Europans also utilize a selection of vehicles to
I'm sorry, what was that thing in the light? Okay, we're going full armor core on this one. God damn. Yeah, I mean, smaller than an armor core unit, but that is basically, yeah.
A selection of
You're fucked at that
vehicles
point.
to dominate lesser enemy infantry and combat medium-sized units. These include the EXO, a small battle mech controlled by a single pilot.
That's a small. I mean, we saw one that was standing a bit higher. I thought this would be like, okay, this is what the mech usually looks like. Those are the big ones. These are just the small ones, though. And saying just implies there's a lot more variation.
Often seen escorting lesser personnel.
Lesser?
And the Merkava tank, which boasts a 120mm smoothbore gun, as well as an M2 Browning 50 caliber machine gun mounted to the top of the chassis. The Merkava is fast, covered in thick armor from turrets to treads, and difficult to take down even for an experienced group of scavs. It's also concerning these tanks that the Europans have developed a strange and macabre habit. On rare occasions, they've been observed covered by the cadavers of the fallen in order to create Merkava body tanks. The purpose of these units is threefold. First, it adds some level of protection to the tank's surface underneath, though likely a rather trivial amount when compared with the thick plate armor underneath. Second,
And somehow, we have reached the point where the cyberpunk body horror faction isn't the creepiest one.
Secondly, though, and perhaps more crucially, it also seems to serve a psychological purpose, a blatant warning to those who get in the way of Europan might. However, considering Europa's enemies and some of their creations, it's tough to know who they're really trying to scare. Lastly, it's also worth noting that on a cadaver-strewn field, the bodies on the tank may serve as some sort of camouflage. But that
also, you can see a lot of the lines on this in the previous art showing that there are more synthetic body than real body. So it's probably the enemies that they got. Maybe. I don't know. It could also just be how the game is displaying them.
Something we'll talk more about when we get into the Eurasian army. The tank's power still pales in comparison to the largest of Europan's offerings that we can see in-game, and that's their medium mech.
That's medium?
On the horizon, the sheer mass of the medium mech is matched only by its Euruscan alternative, which...
That is a medium. Okay, that's actually so cool. Sorry, I have a thing for giant mechs, and that is so cool. That is armor core sized, though. Holy shit.
Which we'll talk about later on. But these titans of battle are hard to miss. Each is equipped with a colossal railgun, so large as to be most useful against enemy vehicles and equivalently sized mechs.
It is large enough that if they hit you with the base of it, the tank that you were on dies. I don't mean shooting either, I just mean hit with the base.
Yet the hulking frame still possesses the mobility to readily swing the gun in all directions, making the medium mech capable of covering itself from all sides. And if that wasn't enough, its rear-mounted minigun allows this beast to fend off whole battalions of soldiers simultaneously. Now we move into the forces of Eurasia, which are different in a number of notable ways.
So we don't have anything on the large mech yet, just that it exists.
To them, the Eurasians rely much more...
I'm assuming there's a large mech because you don't have a small and a medium if there ain't a large. And some of the art did look like it was that big.
More heavily on the mass production of new units, as opposed to drawing from legacy military stock. Not only this, but owing to their technological superiority,
they're crawling.
War, every Eurasian unit, down to the lowest infantry, are heavily equipped with cybernetics and combat implants. Implants that, as we already addressed earlier, hide their former humanity. Cyborgs on the front lines vary extensively in their function and form, likely due to them being repurposed several times over the course of several consecutive battles. Some simply run...
I just realized what was in the background there. These are literally just the bodies that were printed out, and you can see where the printing issues are on the side, and then one of them looks like a human holding the rib cage. Yeah, because everything is a 3D printed nightmare, and you can see the breakdown of the file. This actually happens in actual 3D printing. This kind of... almost like what's on the side when it's not perfect. That's kind of what it looks like sometimes.
Purposed several times over the course of several consecutive battles. Some simply run headlong into opposing forces, while others scramble on all fours.
And they take body damage too. Oh, that's actually very good.
Yet others still have been blown in half and merely pull themselves along pathetically on their forearms. But just above these mechanical fodder
it still has skin
and file are these Borgs, who are different both in that they're actually equipped with weapons and in their appearance, donning what appears to be a severed human face over...
I thought they were still wearing skin and just like heavily modified. No, it's pieces of flesh put back on. That is somehow creepier, because you can tell it's still the same machine face underneath. So they have enough control to do things they want to have a human face again. Also being told Rubik's Raptor has a Forever Winter video. Oh god.
Their endoskeletal chrome. These specimens are slightly tougher than the others, and as potentially indicated by their ability to use guns, these Borgs also demonstrate behavior more conducive to a higher level intelligence. They could even be seen as strategic, assuming and holding a more distanced position from the enemy, as opposed to the hauntingly mindless sprint of their compatriots. The reason for this behavior, as well as their durability, is unclear, but it's thought that these tougher cyborgs may simply be newer units. Less damage from repeated fighting gives them the prerequisite control to wield their standard P-90 submachine.
So in other words, we're looking at the guys who haven't been put back together so many times, there's nothing human left.
Gun, but over time, Perhaps these bots too are destined to wear down into walkers, then crawlers, and finally into scrap. A rank above these rabble are the officers, more tactical and
actually
heavily
having
armored
helmets.
cyborgs possessing unique futuristic helmets. These are Eurasia's most advanced gunners, capable of both inflicting and sustaining heavier fire, but their toughness still pales in comparison to the Brawler series. Clad in red, heavily padded armor with some possessing face masks, these units aren't particularly fast, but they function like a more imposing and deadly version of these things. Brawlers will pursue a target relentlessly, and just one hit is enough to do in most scavs, as well as infantry combatants. These things are exceptionally strong, and are not to be trifled with, especially as they can appear in moderately sized groups. But even more threatening still is the elite brawler, who looks very similar, except for their padding.
And the hands are completely mechanical. So there's more mechanization on this one than the previous ones that look almost human with the padding.
Being a shade of gunmetal gray instead of the iconic red. Accompanying all units, or quite literally flying solo, we have the Eurasian drone.
Yeah, the
a
giant
machine with a
ants.
larger profile than their European counterpart, but similar both in terms of firepower and directive. Eurasia's greater aerial threat, though, is their choppers.
How does that look both like a worm and a helicopter at the same time? It's like there's a very insectile theme here. It is actually well done.
Actually called hind choppers, according to the Quest Hind Nav Comp. They can
Because a previous name of a chopper was a type called a hind. I wonder if it's supposed to look like that. I don't remember what the chopper actually looked like, but I know it was one of the classes.
often be seen above
Where's
the
the maker?
battlefield patrolling areas, but mercifully are generally passive to scavs unless fired upon first. Finally, though, Eurasia's Air Force would not be complete without
Bombers.
these as of yet unnamed V-shaped gliders.
Oh.
These aren't combatants per se, but are instead used in some areas to airdrop additional cyborgs into the fray. We can
Literally
see this both
drop.
in-game
Like, look at that. They're dropping them head
areas
first,
to
even.
airdrop additional cyborgs into the fray. We can see this both in
Further proving that the guys who are just with the runners are just the extra chaff they throw away because they do their job. Oh, jeez.
game and in a cinematic that was released by Fundog
Oh.
prior to the game's launch, where their relatively haphazard method of delivering troops to the front
if it
lines
works.
may also help to explain away why some of the Eurasian cyborgs are often damaged before we ever even encounter them. It also continues to hammer home just how disposable Eurasia views their troops to be, which is really saying something in a setting like this, where tens or maybe even hundreds of thousands of lives seem to be turned over on all sides pretty much every day. Together, these three Skyborn units are the only ones in the entire army which are not humanoid. But before we can move on to Urusa, there's one final Eurasian unit that we need to discuss. At night, when the fighting ceases or moves underground, the battlefield falls.
Oh, those are piles of dead bodies. Oh, I just realized that. And according to Shark Laser Boy, Rubik's Raptor described those as corpse bombers. Accurate. It's an assassin from 40K, just in mass.
Largely silent,
and weaker.
Though some units remain, wandering aimlessly or spontaneously attacking one another in short skirmishes. Night is also a time when the landscape is picked clean of the day's fighting. It's here when many of Eurasia's cyborgs may be recovered and, well, effectively recycled to serve further in coming battles. And on rare, terrible occasions, scavs who venture out at night have caught sight of the ones who are doing the recycling. Moving quietly through the trenches and across the plains, the Eurasian Mother Courage will absolutely leave a lasting impression on those who encounter it. Appearing alone or in groups, Mother Courage manifests as a massive female humanoid. Ascending from a pair of metallic legs, they can often be seen with the remains of freshly harvested cyborgs affixed to their waist. Their long, scissor or knife-like hands are perfectly engineered to parse organic flesh from electronic circuitry, both of which are promptly collected to be reused in the cyclical ecosystem of war. But most disturbingly of all is her head, framed by shoulder-length black hair, which presents a gentle, almost peaceful red face, that of a human woman, yet with blank, expressionless eyes and a mouth that seems incapable of opening. Although Mother Courage units are
Okay. So it's literally just a kid playing with their dolls. And that is kind of what it feels like. Put them back together. Also, look at this design and tell me this isn't someone's fetish. Like, they just happen to get it into the game. If the fetish is absolute horror, yeah, they succeeded. Like, the feet look human, but that can't be, so they have to be specifically made to look human at that size. So everything about it has to be incredibly mechanical, or they're growing biological humans and then fitting them out at this size. So they're already made in human and they're not just adjusted like the lower people are. I wonder if you ever saw whoever was in charge just turn themselves into like giant monsters, except all the leadership would be dead. So maybe this is what the AI turned the remainders of those people into. I don't even know at this point. I'm not sure which is creepier. It's just creepy all the way down. And according to Iron, Mothers had a cut animation where she eats the player. They're also eerie in how weirdly innocent they look in moving around peaceful and resting randomly. Yeah, it's definitely the horror. Oh, jeez. Do they have like Big Daddies who are just the giant versions of these even? Excuse me. Who can go against the medium mechs?
Are rarely spotted owing to their purely nocturnal nature. There can be no doubt that they've solidified themselves as icons of the Eurasian army, and they are also, in spite of their hauntingly quiet work, her most formidable. To say that Mother Courage is nearly impossible to bring down through conventional means is not an understatement. Their massive size, combined with their thick, armored skin, ensure that volleys of even the heaviest ammunition that a scav can muster will have practically no effect. Thus, engaging with one, even alongside a large group, is heavily advised against. After all, she has no qualms about adding you to her stock of flesh. But last and certainly not least, we have Urusa, who is quite the opposite of their Eurasian allies in that the majority of their army is composed of some of the Forever Winter's most heavy, unorthodox, and mechanically inclined troops. When taken together, Eurasia and Urusa easily present a combined fighting force matching, if not exceeding, the diversity of Europa. But it's been Urusa's impressive advancements in areas of both traditional military technology and human experimentation that have led them to have some of the most powerful combatants in the entire war.
Those aren't mechs, those are biomechs. People told me that. I guess now we're getting to the bio side. Before it was just cyberpunk horror. Now we're getting to the biopunk horror. And according to Tudor, on the bright side, the majority of the cyborgs are most likely dead and puppeted by CPUs. Hopefully, yeah, I've had enough horror otherwise
Ruskin
today.
soldiers are both padded and armored in traditional green camouflage and can often be found without helmets. They employ arms commonly used and invented by the Russians, such as the standard AK or RPK rifle, and can easily match or even surpass the power of the average European soldier. There are, of course, heavier units among their ranks as well, who are generally larger in frame, employ long coverings to further protect their legs, and don fully plated helmets for further protection. Like their more unarmored compatriots, these units similarly possess
giant ass Warhammer or Warcraft level shoulder pads. I mean, look at that and tell me you're not compensating for something. The compensating for is not being a giant 50-foot mech. But to be fair, probably right.
Unmodified AKs. One step up the chain in command are the Euruscan officers, which are very similar in appearance to general infantrymen, but their grenade launchers can deal heavy damage and stun those who take them on. Unarmored versions also exist. A relatively rare foot soldier, the Rider is a visually distinct unit, donning coveralls and equipped with a rubber gas mask. Presently, whole squads of these units can be found rarely, where they engage the defending Europans, but concept art from Fundog shows them as their name.
Why do they have baby faces? It's like a dog head riding a dog rights man. Yeah, they're giving baby faces to the walking units and dog faces to the riders.
would suggest riding atop other units, most particularly Eurasian drones, which seems to be a feature that we could see implemented in the future.
So
Obviously,
creepy.
such functionality would make the riders fairly unique in the field of battle, but Euraska's final infantry type is more closely comparable to their Eurasian allies. The Orga mech is a heavy brawler unit that, all in all, is a relatively rare sight. Like other traditional brawlers, these units are unarmed, but make up for it with a battery of martial attacks. They're durable, powerful, and bear Euraska's finest in military wear. But the real terror and flavor of Euraska comes not from their foot soldiers, but from their other, larger, and more creative units.
What?
One of which is the Grabber, a wholly unique cyborgian creature that moves on all fours. It's extremely fast and well armored.
That's a cyborg, though. How, like, is it custom grown and then had cybernetics implanted, or is this just multiple people shoved in?
It to be nearly impossible to destroy through conventional means, while also possessing the ability to tear apart infantrymen with animalistic efficiency. And it may even hold its own against larger units should it be so inclined. Nothing else quite like the Grabber exists at the moment, making it easily recognizable and...
Oh God. I wasn't entirely sure. Oh, yeah, there's a corpse pile there. Like, when you see it moving, though, it's not just on all fours. You can see the legs are not meant to be walking on all fours. It's like it's trying to emulate Digitride, except you can see how that's the back of the foot still. So it's normal human legs, but they're walking on all fours despite that. That is actually creepier. Ugh. And also, Eddie, hey, I wanted to thank you for anyone who gave the membership. Oh, there was a whole bunch of those that came up. I'm not sure who specifically gave it, but yeah. Also, since the subathon right now, the memberships are going for about 1.5 times the rate. So it's like $1.5 minutes for every dollar in a membership. So if Zero was here, he'd probably take advantage of that, but he isn't, so we can say that safely.
Easily recognizable and doubly fearsome. Like Europa, the Eruskans also possess a certain variety.
Why does the tank have googly eyes? It's like all of this was like massively horrific, and then, hey guys, the gun looks like a nose at this point. Why? It's actually more ridiculous. I kind of love it.
Variety of tank, the T-90, which uses a smoothbore gun as its main form of offense, along with a PSV 12.7mm anti-aircraft gun alongside.
It's like, hey guys, we want to fire a snot rocket at you. Hey, don't want to get hit by that. Oh my god. It's so ridiculous. I'm sorry. I can't stop thinking it's stupid. I love it. I absolutely love it for that reason alone.
It is in many ways equal and opposite to the Merkava, though there are no reports of them being lined with the dead, thankfully.
Yeah.
In terms of mechs, there are two in the Euraskan fleet, and although similar in size, they differ wildly in use, with the first being one that you may already be familiar with, and that's the Euraskan Toothy. One look at this thing sends a clear signal. This is a powerful beast, armed with a railgun on its right arm, and a swiveling MG-42 machine gun on its left shoulder. However, the Toothy is not traditionally seen as an offensive weapon.
It's not?
Instead, it's used primarily for escorting other troops and performing duties akin to a combat medic. The Toothy mech may also very well be...
I'm sorry. The mech is the medic. How does that even work? Because they're not a mech faction to the same extent as the Euraska guys were, because those were cyborgs all the way down.
One of the most well-known and unique units in the entirety of Euraska, if not the entirety of the war, because they come standard with a uniquely innovative feature so macabre that only the Euraskans could have properly implemented it. Attached behind the rig's right shoulder are a selection of body bags, which are apparently intended for use as mobile emergency life support pods that will allow the mech to sustain and protect wounded soldiers while evacuating combat. But the bags can also be used in the reverse sense, to siphon biofuel from the bodies to the mech itself. This means that some Toothies are in...
Oh, so it's literally going full Horizon Zero Dawn, just drinking people. Oh, that is so much worse.
Fact, predatory. It is very possible for them to simply take off on their own and sustain themselves entirely off of the very same peoples that they're meant to protect. But the Toothy is still perhaps not the most imposing Euraskan force, at least at the time of recording. For that distinct honor goes, of course, to their medium mech. Like the European alternative...
It's still just mediums. We haven't heard anything about large mechs yet. Does that mean in a battlefield that isn't just this random location of LA, or Lost Angels, in the big ones that do matter to the AIs running the war, we get the large mechs or the extra heavy mechs or something. Oh, that actually sounds like it'd be cool in its own right.
These rigs are generally deployed in pairs and have a distinct rounded appearance about them. They're uniformly equipped with massive and imposing automatic railguns and can often be found striking at enemy tanks, drones, mechs, and even pockets of foot soldiers. Now, hopefully this overview gives you some idea of the general composition of these factions.
Yeah,
but it's worth
generally,
noting
you're
that what I've
fucked.
just presented is not an entirely exclusive list, even if you don't consider the fact that what we're seeing now is only a small part of the wider implied scope of these units and this war. There are individuals, or whole squads, that stand out from the crowd. As the one strict order of rank and file has begun to degrade over time, some units have gone rogue, or have begun operating in a fashion atypical of their usual conscripted role, with a rare few even earning themselves a level of acclaim in the process. It seems that many such figures tend to come out of Europa, likely owing to the individuality afforded to their soldiers when opposed to their enemies. It's also more
Yeah, when just being allowed to wear your own skin does technically count as making them less terrifying. I'm almost wondering if laying the bodies on there isn't intimidation. It's reminding you that still human, because it seems like a lot of the other ones, that is not a thing. It's kind of like how in 40K, the skull motif IRL is because it's creepy. But in universe, it's because the human body looks beautiful in all its forms, even stripped down to the barest level. So it's meant to see, it's beautiful. God damn, though. 1, thank you very much, Iron. 2, the game's like playing random guy in an RTS game. Yeah, it does feel like the RTS is going on around you, and you're just trying not to get stepped on by all the commanded pieces. And 2, oh dear, it seems the soldiers didn't make it. Oh well, probably didn't consume the body. And kind of 1, that's up. 2, howdy. Don't have time to stay, but hope the stream goes well, and hope you don't lose power with Winter Storm. That is entirely a possibility, and why we might not be streaming tomorrow, because I don't know. Honestly, we might not even go past 7 today, because that's when the storm's supposed to start, and I don't know how bad it gets in. Might need to make sure the pipes are empty, too. Ooh, I didn't think of that.
The culture of Europa to both exchange and record stories of their heroes. Though Urusa does sort of tend...
This is the art I saw beforehand. I saw all the little feet. So I guess it's gloves, boots, prosthetic limbs, and various other little fetishes. Specifically like the heart and the totem. Or the, looks like carved heads. And like all the art around them. Honestly, this kind of art, it does remind me more of a slightly more high-tech Trench Crusade. And I kind of really gravitate towards it because I love the humanizing aspects on giant walking war machines. It is fun. It's like what a lot of the banners in 40K Nights try and do and just don't quite work because I never add them because they are so incredibly fiddly. They do not stay on without breaking. Although that might be more that I'm just way too rough with my models. That is entirely possible. Also, Eddie, 1, 2, thank you. And 0, a German taking advantage of the situation. Where have I heard that before? No idea what you're talking about. I have no idea. No idea what you're talking about. Oh, God. Martin, why are American houses so weak to weather? They're not, depending on where you're at. In Texas, they never expected the temperature to go into negatives. So that is that. That's why there's also not enough heating or cooling in places that are north of the Great Lakes, because whoever expects it to get too hot there. My area is pretty normal. It's just when you're in negative temperature, like when you're at 3 degrees Fahrenheit, you can't deal with that shit, man. Inside the house will be fine. It's just the outside pipes. You just need to make sure they're empty before it freezes.
Do a similar thing in a more religious context. Some of these legendary figures include the Tormentor, a one-of-a-kind modified EOD with a blue face mask.
Oh, and you can actually see his actual face in there. And is that a modified face mask, or he just go full biopunk? That is his face now. I can't tell, and with how things are going biopunk with everything, he's technically in Europa, but also, who knows, maybe he just did a few things.
evidently deployed to single-handedly push back Eurasian forces. We can encounter them ourselves in the Ashen Mesa after accepting the quest Tormentor's Trail, and they definitely possess the power to back up the legends about them. It's evident that, like many legendary units, the Tormentor is not only a tool to strike fear into the hearts of the opponent, but also to further galvanize those on the front lines. Imagine for a second that you're a
propaganda and effective asset all in one. Actually, that's not bad.
European foot soldier who's been fighting for days on the brink of death against a onslaught of enemies that just keep coming. Then, all of a sudden, this guy walks up, guns them all down, and tells you to basically just sit tight while he solos the entire enemy army. I mean, it's no wonder that he's earned such a legend.
So in other words, he's the equivalent of what every other game would have as the player character. Except here, he's also an NPC. Oh my god.
Status, and you definitely remember that blue face mask. There's also the Red Baron, a red-painted exo with several legendary kills attributed to its name, making it a galvanizing symbol among its fellows. And
I almost want to cross over with this in Battletech just for the sheer bullshit you can get into on that. And with Battletech Gothic, biopunk is completely a possibility now.
Of course, we can't forget the Pyro, who's probably my favorite legendary unit in this game.
They cut holes in an American flag so you can see his face, and he's a pyromaniac. Oh, there is so many things about this man.
Far. A figure of unknown origin who seems to be allied with Europa.
Is that one of the walkers who's starting to pull more flesh back onto themselves, or is it slowly coming off? I can't tell.
Hard to say for sure what the Pyro's goals actually are, other than simply decimating Eurasian cyborgs. Wielding a grenade launcher which they've used to fell countless enemies, the Pyro dons a very unique getup that definitely helps attribute to his legacy, as no variation of it appears anywhere else in the game. It consists of a modified spacesuit, the type used by astronauts in the 21st century,
that's what it is?
which has been retrofitted for combat on the front lines. Most iconically, though, is the Pyro's headpiece. A torn, bloodied, and discarded American flag that they wear like a hood, almost certainly without even knowing what the pattern on it actually represents.
Yep. Or they do, and it's even fucked up because of that. Also, I'm being told by Aaron, the game slogan is literally, "You are not that guy." Yeah, that is very much feeling like it.
Like the Tormentor before them, the Pyro has gained the attention of the greater Eurasian army, but unlike him, they don't even have any intel on the Pyro, since he doesn't even seem to bear a military ID. He's a total rogue, and we don't even know for sure that he's European affiliated.
So he could just be someone who likes it.
Vague indication of
a random time travel guy from a past where America's there, where that country doesn't exist in this superpower. Is it just like a random time travel plot, or War of the Worlds, like Planet of the Apes, where it's like, it was actually Earth all along type setting? That'd be actually kind of funny if it was the case.
Some military training that lets onto that idea at all. This character, I think, is just a perfect representation of what the Forever Winter is all about. The look is perfect and tells you so much about not only the character, but also the world they inhabit in a single glance. It's brilliant design. It should go without saying that there's also likely a lot more designs just like these that simply haven't been introduced yet. This piece of concept art, for example, is one of many that alludes to a much greater variety of mechanized weapons on both sides. In fact, there's already some info for one of them. See this massive quadrupedal gun platform? Well, it has an official name, Big Green. So it's clear that there are still some unimplemented concepts that Fundog are actively thinking about.
I wonder if eventually you just get to walk into an actual full-on battle. Not just the skirmishes, not just the people who are being thrown down from the sky, but an actual, we are coordinating with the AI running all the bots and putting actual commitment of forces to this. I guess at that point, the goal isn't to win or to fight the enemy. It's to scavenge off the discards when they kill each other and not get killed yourself, which could be honestly kind of fascinating.
There are plenty of other novel ideas.
Also, Bill, you mentioned this is basically combined Trench Crusade with Battletech. Yeah, I can get that. And somehow it's bleaker than both of them put together. I say even bleaker than Trench Crusade, but at least in Trench Crusade, you haven't lost yet. You could, you just haven't.
Is here too. From enormously sized grabber-like creatures
Oh.
that stand on their hind legs
That-
to small insectoid robots that seem to double as mobile artillery units
It's like
and
almost
pack
human body
mules.
out the
There's
back
just
of
a
it.
whole slew of other ideas that have yet to materialize within the game, and at least some of them definitely seem like they could be seen.
Also, just if you look in the background, there's like a walking platform where you see the treads coming down and almost looks like a tank being held up on top of other tank treads with a double barrel cannon swiveling around with what looks like a rocket launcher. It's even bigger than the one up front. I guess that might be the large mech.
On the battlefield
Or just a walking
before too
ship.
long. But we can't round out the lore of the Forever Winter without talking about a fourth and final faction.
Oh, there is a fourth
that we
one.
haven't touched on as heavily. A group which everyone in
Ah, a guy in a yellow cloak. Is he a king by any chance?
the world seems to be aware of, even if only seeing them as a nuisance. And those are the Scavengers. See, life as a scav is not as rare or unlikely as it may at first seem.
Oh?
We are in fact led to believe that there are several, perhaps even hundreds or thousands of independent bastions of scav populations living all over the Western Americas.
Oh, and that's why they're the fourth faction, because even if they're not organized, they have one advantage that every other faction doesn't. They're probably not led by an AI who has no idea that it's not doing anything of value anymore. So they can actually make decisions on their own instead of just doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over. And you see where I'm going with this one. The one advantage is that eventually they might, if they survive long enough, get better.
If not in other places as well. And from shanty towns to the underground, Europa, Eurasia, and Urusa have all begun to realize that these isolated populations can benefit them in unique ways. Scavenger services don't always come cheap. They work in
And they
trade
hire
for
them.
valuable water and credits, but oftentimes are capable of things that larger, less guerrilla forces of the big three are not. Espionage, looting, theft, contract killing, and more. If it can be devised, there's a scav who's willing to do it. As such,
mercenary
scavengers
force.
are known to communicate through diplomatic bureaus with each of the three global superpowers: the Western Embassy, Eastern Consulate, and Spetsnaz or Special Forces Commission. Each represent Europa, Eurasia, and Urusa respectively, and all of them confer with scavs independently of one another. In-game, the representatives from each bureau, Luca, Kane, and Vladilitz, are first introduced to us.
So the Eurasia biomonstrosity, or the Urusa biomonstrosity,
The representatives
the human who's completely out of his depth.
from each bureau, Luca, Kane,
And this would be the person who's completely converted into a cyborg with very little human left, but there's just enough that you can still see they had skin. Yeah.
and Vladilitz are first introduced to us by Slade, a fellow scav who knows their way around the underground.
That is face.
But it's unclear to what extent these
Oh, you can actually see the medical tubes going into his neck. Oh, so bio stuff is getting down even to the scavengers.
diplomatic bodies exist outside of the bastion of safety that is the innards. It's one of the seemingly few places where members of opposing factions can truly coexist, selling wares from their respective cultures, even if only in the form of guns.
Yeah, I mean, that's usually how it goes. Also, Tensei. Whoa, dude. Gonna pull it up. Not sure if this will add to the timer, but I just wanted to say good luck in the weather and recommend something a little less dark. X Universe Full Story by Guild of Noobs. X Universe Full Story. What's X Universe? Are we talking like X for the Undertale fan fiction or something else? I have to remind that one. Also, thank you very much. And I probably won't need the help with the weather. Yeah. Huh.
And assuming neutrality when hiring against one another. For all we know, it may be an uneasy peace, but it's still a peace at the end of the day. And, as I hope we've learned today, peace is a beautiful thing. There are still many aspects of the world of the Forever Winter that have yet to be illuminated. From the macabre architecture reminiscent of the distorted visions of Bekjinsky to the cow balloons, we still don't know what that's about. There's a lot more to
So they do have a sense of humor. It's just heavily played down. Also, it does look like a grenade up there. Yeah. I wonder if it's supposed to be cow flatulence and making it fly. Oh my God.
learn with regard to this world. But what strikes me most about the Forever Winter so far is just how masterfully that world has been crafted. It has such a distinct and palpable identity that the possibilities for stories to be told in it are almost endless. The European campaign perfectly sets the stage for stories of heroism, valor, and human tribulation, while the Eurasians and Eruskans allow for tales of wild, cyberpunk-esque technologies and future meditations into the deranged nature of this dystopia. Even the disjointedness of the world itself, with troops occupying points for years or generations on end, looking to their machines as deities and wandering the plains on crusades with no meaning, is conducive to a plethora of different varieties of genres and stories. I don't know, guys. I think Fundog has really done something special here. It's certainly not every day that a world as brimming with possibility as this one comes into being. I seriously think that if they play their cards right and really lean into bringing us some of those...
Okay, I hate to say it, but the guy on the side, is anyone else looking at this going, hey, I see Demo Man? It's because I just watched Server Blight right before this. Yeah, that would do it.
I seriously think that if they play their cards right and really lean into bringing us some of those tales through official means, whether it be through the game itself or supplementary works, art books, graphic novels, stuff like that, we could have a world as robust and exciting as something like Mike Pondsmith's Cyberpunk. It really does have that striking of an identity in my mind.
Yeah,
regardless,
I can see that.
I understand that if those things are planned, they'll undoubtedly take time to materialize. The game has just barely entered early access, so there is still undoubtedly a solid amount of the base game that needs to be finished. But what a good setting like this does is inspire people to be thinking about what else is possible, and that is certainly what the Forever Winter has done for me. It is massively exciting to get to be here in the beginning of what is hopefully a long-running and prosperous IP, an IP that never could have come to life in a AAA studio, but one which I sincerely hope has and will capture your imagination as thoroughly as it has mine. This is Everberon. I'll see you again soon.
I don't think I'd be good at it, but it sounds like it might be interesting. This is such a disturbing game, but at the same time, I kind of want to check it out. I'm not sure if it'd be good. I'm not sure if it'd be bad. I'm not sure if I hate the play scheme. I'm sure if I love the control scheme. I'm very picky about when it comes to control schemes. If I don't like them, I just can't get into the game, even if it's good. But the world seems so incredibly fucked up, also very well thought out, and it's like there could be more happening. I don't really know, and this is over a year old, so I'm wondering if anything new has come out since then to show what might be going on. If it is, I need to check that out, because that seems really cool. Basically what I'm saying is, if you guys haven't, let me know if anything else has come out about this game, because I kind of just want to learn more about it. So yeah, comments, I'll be checking them out. Thanks. I'll see you guys in the next one. Oh, links as well. Do that. Adios.